Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Waiting Room. This is a show that challenges you to thrive, not just survive in every area of your life. This is your host, Ruem, and in this podcast, I'll be talking about the lessons we learn from waiting in every season of life because it's all about waiting well. In this episode, I'll be talking about lifestyle creep. Have you heard of the term lifestyle creep? If not, I am here to school you. So lifestyle creep basically happens when there's an increase in income, which then in turn leads to an increase in discretionary spending. It's the temptation to start spending more on luxuries as your disposable income increases. So for example, say you were making $4,000 a month. Then you get a promotion or you switch jobs and now you're making $5,000 a month, resulting in a $1,000 increase in income. So what happens is if you're not careful, you'll be tempted to spend more, take extra liberties with your spending, where your expenses will end up being more than $1,000 a month. The goal is to not fall into this trap. Keep your expenses as they were, as if nothing has changed, and then save the extra income for emergencies, life savings, big purchases in the future, etc. So I'm going to talk about some areas where you might experience lifestyle creep and what you can do to not fall into the trap or to remedy that. Number one, your social life. When you notice an increase in income, it's tempting to go out more often or buy lunches instead of brown bagging it. You'll spend more when you go out. You might notice you might go to more expensive restaurants than before. So those add up. So you want to keep doing what you are doing. Pack your lunch, meal plan, or go to the same places because that was already in your budget. Okay, so if you are now eating more expensive foods or if you're going out more often, then over time that's going to add up pretty quickly and you'll end up finding that your expenses are going over your income. Okay, another area is your wardrobe. Number two, wardrobe. You'll find that you're buying more expensive clothes or clothes at full price. So before you might have shopped clearance, bargains. Now you are more apt to buy the designer clothes or pay full price. Or you are spending more online, constantly receiving deliveries. Once again, keep doing what you were doing before. Shop at the same places. Don't spend any more on your wardrobe than you really need. Okay. Number three, your commute. Maybe you decide to trade in your car for a more luxury vehicle, that car you've been eyeballing for a few years. So remember, this might not be a significant jump in income, but for some reason, our mentality, our human mindset, it's easy to think, to overestimate how much more you are making. You might not be able to afford the new car note, the new payment, even though you did get an increase. Or you might find yourself using car services, ride sharing more often instead of public transportation like you were before. So once again, to remedy this, just keep doing what you were doing. Use public transportation, keep your car for as long as, run it to the ground. Of course, unless it keeps breaking down and it's costing you more money. So you have to be wise there as well. Number four, travel and vacation. So now you might be tempted to take more vacations or more expensive vacations or pay for first class instead of sitting in economy, or paying for extra amenities and different things like that you wouldn't have paid for before. If you're going to travel, just travel as you have before. Buy the economy ticket and you don't have to stay in a 5-star hotel. You can still stay in a 3-star hotel and stay within your budget. Number 5, household comfort. Yes, you want to eat healthy and you want to be mindful what you're eating, but now you shop all organic or all name brand. You'll be fine with the generic brand. Okay, and you don't have to eat everything organic. You can still, survive with what you were doing before. Or getting food delivered. Typically, you'd go out and buy your groceries, but now you're willing to pay the extra $10-15 to have your food brought to you when you could pick it up yourself. Upgrading appliances, getting a lot of appliances are becoming smart. So getting like a smart washer, a smart dryer, a smart refrigerator, when you can get by with what you already have, which is the basic one. You don't have to have an app for your washer and dryer to start it and to stop it. And then the last area where you might experience lifestyle creep is in entertainment. Are you spending more on hobbies, going out, buying more tickets, going to events, sporting events or concerts more than usual? And then when you do go out, are you buying the premium tickets, the VIP tickets, or just the general admission? So you'll find that you'll want to spend more. All right, so these things, it's not like you consciously decide, oh, I'm gonna make more money and I'm gonna go ahead and increase my spending. It just happens. It's just like a human mindset. In your mind, you're just thinking, oh, now I can afford I have more wiggle room, I can afford a little bit more here and there. But what ends up happening is we end up spending a little bit more in every area, and that adds up pretty quickly. Okay, so experts recommend not changing your budget, your expenses, for at least 6 months after a significant life change, or like after a promotion or a pay raise or a change in jobs or getting married or buying a house and things like. So recommend keep things the way they are for at least 6 months while you adjust, because that's when a lot of people fall into the lifestyle creep, is within the first 6 months of, say, getting a pay raise or promotion. And there are ways to avoid this. It's not inevitable. You don't have to fall into this trap, but you just have to be mindful of it, and you have to have a plan, because if you don't have a plan, that's when it's easy to fail. So how can you avoid lifestyle creep? First, create a budget, because the budget tells you where your money is going, or you can tell your money where to go instead of wondering where it went. Create a budget and avoid impulse spending. Okay, so if you're spending money, make sure it is accounted for in your budget. Know your goals and plan ahead of time. Okay, so when you don't have a plan or a goal, that's when you'll find yourself falling into that trap. Secondly, save first, spend later. Okay, so with that extra $1,000 a month, instead of spending it all, put it aside. Treat it as if it's not even there. The moment it hits your account, you can have it automated to be put in a separate account or be transferred somewhere else where you won't even see it, out of sight, out of mind. That way, it's not like you're losing money. Okay, you didn't have it before, so you want to keep that mindset as if you don't have it now, then you just automatically transfer it to another account. And then you can use it for big purchases down the road, like a house payment or buying a new car or new appliances if they break down, or if you're going to save for children's college, whatever it is. You can retirement, life savings, different things like that. You can start putting that money aside. And then the third thing is evaluate your purchases and spending on a regular basis. Don't just keep spending money and you're not checking regularly to see where you're at, and look at how you're spending. Do you really need all those things that you're buying? If you can do without, then make necessary adjustments, because it's easy to just spend. But when you look back, you realize, oh, I really didn't need those 3 shirts or those 2 pairs of shoes. I could have just gotten one, or whatever it is. So make sure you are constantly evaluating your spending and your purchases. All right. So honestly, I think with the lifestyle creep, it just comes down to identity issues. It's easy to fall into the trap of looking the part, or the status. If your identity is in money and status, you want to look like you have money. You have the right clothes, the right car, and you're eating in all the right places. But if you your identity is not in money, then it's easy to not fall into that trap, and you just don't think about it. You're not worried about what people think or where you're eating or what you're driving or what clothes you're wearing. So if you find yourself always constantly needing to keep up with the Joneses, that could be something you might need to do some self-reflection and find out why. And deal with that, because it's gonna keep getting worse, as you grow and you progress and you advance and you get other pay raises and promotions. You're gonna end up spending more and more and more, which might result in getting into more debt. So there's a scripture that came to mind when I was working on this, and it's in 1 Timothy 6. It's several verses, and it says, "But godliness with contentment is great gain, for we brought nothing into the world, and we can take nothing out of it. But if we have food and clothing, we will be content with that." Right? And if you read the rest of it, it goes on. That's a scripture that goes on to say the love of money is the root of all evil. So a lot of times when we are chasing money and we are so focused on money and we're so consumed by getting more money, that's when it can change our hearts and we're giving it more power than it needs. But honestly, like what the scripture is saying is that we don't need much. We didn't bring anything into the world, and we're not going to take anything out of it. So we don't need top of the line everything to survive, and if you just be content, if you can just be content with where you're at, what you have, and be grateful. I think gratitude goes a long way as well. If you're just grateful, for the income, the job, the house, the car that you have, a lot of times you won't feel the desire to always be reaching for more. And this is something that I have experienced, not to such a great deal, but I have noticed over the years, being employed, when I have gotten a pay raise or a promotion and I'm making a little bit more than I was before, it is very tempting to fall into this trap and to find that you're spending more and you're like, how is this happening? I have more money, but now I feel like I don't have enough. I'm making more than I was this time last year or this time 2 years ago, but how come I don't see the benefits of that? Okay, so just make sure that you have a plan and you're not spending more than you need. So moving on to the book recommendation segment. This episode, I recommend Get Good with Money by Tiffany Aliche. I've been recommending it through this series, this Money Talk series I'm doing. And there's a link in the description where you can purchase it from Thrift Book. And if you want to read more about lifestyle creep, I do have a link in the description as well, and just some other resources. But that is it for today's episode. Thank you for joining me here in the waiting room. Tune back in for my next episode. In the meantime, I need your help getting this podcast to as many listeners as possible. So please share and leave a comment. And I would love to hear your feedback. Have you had any experience with the lifestyle creep? Did you fall into the trap, or were you able to be victorious and not fall? And what was your strategy? Or if you did fall in the trap, how did you get out of that mindset and what helped you? So please share. You can email me at thewaitingroom@gmail.com or follow The Waiting Room on Instagram or leave me a comment on my website. Until then, take care.